The 7 Sacred Principles of Japanese Home Organization. What if I revealed to you that there's a secret so powerful it can completely eliminate the overwhelming chaos in your home forever? Imagine walking into your space every single day and feeling instant peace instead of stress. Picture never again frantically searching for your keys, never again feeling embarrassed when unexpected guests arrive, and never again spending your precious weekends buried under piles of clutter. This isn't a fantasy, it's the reality that millions of people have discovered through an ancient wisdom that has been perfected over centuries. Today, you're about to unlock the 7 sacred principles of Japanese home organization that will revolutionize not just your living space, but your entire life. These aren't just cleaning tips, they're life-changing philosophies that have transformed generations of families. And here's what's truly remarkable. The 7th principle is so profound that people report it changes their entire relationship with their possessions and brings them a sense of peace they never knew was possible. But before we dive into these transformative secrets, I need you to do me one quick favor. If you're ready to finally create the organized, peaceful home you've always dreamed of, hit that subscribe button right now and ring the notification bell. Trust me, you won't want to miss a single principle we're about to explore. Also, drop a comment below telling me which room in your house causes you the most stress. I read every single comment, and your struggles help me create content that truly serves you. Introduction: The Ancient Wisdom. Have you ever walked into someone's home and immediately felt a sense of calm wash over you? Have you ever wondered how certain individuals seem to effortlessly maintain spaces that are not only impeccably organized, but also somehow deeply nourishing to the soul? The answer lies in an ancient approach to living that originated in Japan, a methodology that treats organization not as a chore, but as a sacred practice that harmonizes our external environment with our internal state of being. The Japanese philosophy of home organization transcends simple tidiness. It's a comprehensive system that recognizes the profound connection between our physical surroundings and our mental, emotional, and even spiritual well-being. This approach has been refined over generations, passed down through families who understood that the way we interact with our possessions reflects and shapes the way we experience life itself. What makes this system extraordinary is its holistic nature. While Western organization methods often focus on efficiency and storage solutions, the Japanese approach addresses the deeper questions. Why do we accumulate clutter? How do our possessions affect our peace of mind? What does our relationship with material objects reveal about our values and priorities? Today, I'm going to share with you the 7 fundamental principles that form the foundation of this transformative approach. These principles are so powerful that when implemented correctly, they create a self-sustaining system of harmony that requires minimal effort to maintain. They will permanently eliminate that suffocating feeling of domestic overwhelm that so many of us carry, and replace it with a sense of control, clarity, and deep satisfaction. The beauty of these principles lies in their simplicity and their profound effectiveness. They work with human nature rather than against it, creating sustainable habits that become as natural as breathing. By the end of this guide, you'll not only understand how to transform your home, but you'll also discover how these principles can bring greater mindfulness, intentionality, and joy to every aspect of your daily life. Principle 1: The Sacred Space Doctrine. The foundation of Japanese home organization rests upon what I call the Sacred Space Doctrine, the unwavering principle that every single item in your dwelling must have one designated, permanent location where it belongs. This isn't merely about convenience, it's about creating a system of order that eliminates the mental chaos that comes from constantly making decisions about where things should go. Consider this: How much mental energy do you waste each day simply deciding where to put things? When you're holding your car keys, do you pause and think about whether to put them on the kitchen counter, the dining table, or in your pocket? When you take off your jacket, do you debate between hanging it up or draping it over the nearest chair? These micro decisions, multiplied across hundreds of interactions with objects throughout the day, create a constant background stress that exhausts our mental resources. The Sacred Space Doctrine eliminates this decision fatigue entirely. When every item has a predetermined home, your brain no longer needs to engage in these trivial choices. You simply return each object to its designated sanctuary, creating a smooth, automatic flow that preserves your mental energy for more important matters. To implement this principle effectively, you must first become an observer of your own patterns. Spend a week paying attention to how you naturally move through your space. Which items do you reach for most frequently? Where do you instinctively want to place things when you're finished using them? This awareness will guide you in creating storage solutions that work with your natural habits rather than against them. The placement of items should follow a hierarchy of accessibility. Objects you use multiple times daily, your coffee mug, work laptop, or reading glasses, deserve prime real estate in easily accessible locations. Items you use weekly can be stored in secondary locations that require a bit more effort to reach. Seasonal or rarely used items can inhabit the least accessible spaces in your home. In the kitchen, this might mean keeping your most used cooking utensils in the drawer closest to your primary food preparation area, while storing specialty appliances you use only occasionally in higher cabinets or pantry spaces. In your bedroom, frequently worn clothing should occupy the most convenient drawers and closet areas, while formal wear or seasonal items can be stored in less accessible locations. The true transformation occurs when this system becomes unconscious. After consistent practice, returning items to their designated spaces becomes as automatic as turning off lights when leaving a room. This creates what I call effortless order, a state where maintaining organization requires virtually no conscious effort because the system aligns perfectly with your natural movements and habits. For this principle to work optimally, everyone in your household must understand and respect the system. Take time to educate family members about where different categories of items belong. Create visual cues if necessary, labels, clear containers, or color-coding systems that make the designated spaces obvious to everyone. Children in particular respond well to clear, consistent systems and often become enthusiastic participants when they understand the logic behind the organization. Remember that this principle requires patience and consistency. Initially, you may need to consciously remind yourself to return items to their proper places, especially when you're tired or rushed. However, resist the temptation to make exceptions. Each time you place an item somewhere other than its designated space, you weaken the system and make it more likely that clutter will gradually accumulate. The psychological benefits of this principle extend far beyond simple organization. When you know exactly where everything belongs and can locate any item immediately, you develop a sense of mastery over your environment. This feeling of control in your personal space creates a foundation of confidence that positively influences other areas of your life. Principle 2. The 5-minute mastery method. The second principle of Japanese home organization addresses one of the most common sources of domestic chaos, the accumulation of small, seemingly insignificant tasks that we continually postpone. The 5-minute mastery method is based on a profound understanding of human psychology. We naturally resist tasks that appear overwhelming or time-consuming, but we readily engage in activities that seem quick and manageable. This principle states that any organizational task requiring 5 minutes or less should be completed immediately, without exception. This simple rule prevents the gradual buildup of minor clutter that, when combined, creates the overwhelming mess that makes us want to avoid our homes altogether. Consider the mathematics of this approach. If you spend just 2 minutes each day dealing with mail as it arrives, you prevent the accumulation of paper piles that might eventually require hours to sort through. If you invest 30 seconds in hanging up your coat when you arrive home, you avoid the visual chaos of garments draped over furniture throughout your living space. These small investments of time compound into enormous savings of effort and mental energy. The power of this method lies in its integration with your natural daily rhythms. Rather than creating a separate time block for organization, you weave these micro-tasks into the flow of your existing activities. As you finish your morning coffee, you wash the cup immediately. As you change out of work clothes, you hang them up or place them in the hamper right away. As you bring in the mail, you sort it immediately into action piles. To implement this method successfully, you must develop what I call micro-awareness, the ability to recognize these 5-minute opportunities as they arrive throughout your day. Begin by identifying the most common small tasks you typically postpone. These might include wiping down bathroom counters after use, putting dishes directly into the dishwasher rather than leaving them in the sink, or filing important documents as soon as you're finished with them. The psychological benefits of this approach are remarkable. Each small task completed creates a micro sense of accomplishment that builds throughout the day. By evening, you've accumulated dozens of these small victories, creating a positive momentum that enhances your overall sense of competence and control. This is the opposite of the downward spiral that occurs when small tasks accumulate into overwhelming mountains of work. This method also teaches valuable lessons about the power of consistent small actions that apply to many other areas of life. Just as physical fitness improves through daily small efforts rather than occasional intense sessions, home organization thrives on consistent micro-actions rather than periodic massive cleaning marathons. The 5-minute mastery method works particularly well because it eliminates the mental negotiation that typically occurs around household tasks. Instead of asking yourself, should I deal with this now or later, you simply ask, can this be completed in 5 minutes or less? If yes, you do it immediately. This removes the decision-making burden and creates a clear, automatic response pattern. Over time, you'll discover that many tasks you previously avoided actually take far less time than you imagined. The mental energy spent avoiding and worrying about these tasks often exceeds the energy required to simply complete them. This realization often leads to a broader shift in how you approach challenges in other areas of your life. To maximize the effectiveness of this principle, prepare your environment to support quick action. Keep cleaning supplies easily accessible, maintain designated spaces for quick sorting, and eliminate barriers that might make these micro-tasks more difficult than necessary. The easier you make it to complete these small actions, the more likely you are to follow through consistently. Principle 3. The category unification system. The third principle represents a radical departure from conventional organization approaches and often produces the most dramatic transformations in people's homes, the category unification system. While most people organize by location, cleaning one room at a time, this Japanese approach focuses on categories of items, regardless of where they're currently scattered throughout the home. This method reveals hidden truths about our possessions that room-by-room cleaning cannot expose. When you gather every book in your house into one location, you might discover you own 3 copies of the same novel scattered across different rooms. When you collect all your writing implements from throughout your home, you might find dozens of pens hidden in various drawers, purses, and containers. This comprehensive gathering creates awareness that enables much more effective decision-making about what to keep and what to release. The psychological impact of this approach cannot be overstated. Many people experience genuine shock when they see the true quantity of items they've accumulated in specific categories. This moment of recognition, what I call the awakening moment, often catalyzes a profound shift in consumption habits and relationship with material possessions. To implement the category unification system, begin by selecting a single category that feels manageable but significant. Clothing often works well as a starting point because the emotional attachment tends to be clearer and the decisions somewhat easier than other categories. Commit to gathering every single item in this category from throughout your entire home. Don't forget closets, laundry baskets, seasonal storage areas, or items at the dry cleaner. Create a dedicated space for this gathering. Your bed works well for clothing, while the dining table might be appropriate for books or documents. The act of placing all items from one category in a single location creates a powerful visual impact that shifts your perspective from individual items to the category as a whole. Once everything is gathered, examine each item individually. This is where the process becomes both practical and meditative. Hold each item in your hands and engage with it fully. For clothing, try it on if necessary. For books, flip through the pages. For documents, read enough to understand their purpose and current relevance. This physical interaction helps you make more informed decisions about what truly serves your current life. As you evaluate each item, sort them into clear categories: definitely keep, donate, sell, and discard. Be honest about your current lifestyle and needs rather than holding on to items for hypothetical future scenarios. That formal dress you haven't worn in 5 years but keep just in case is taking up physical and mental space that could be better utilized. The items you choose to keep should then be stored together in designated locations that reflect your usage patterns and the Sacred Space Doctrine from the first principle. All books might go on designated shelves, all tools in a specific toolbox or workshop area, all important documents in a single filing system. This consolidation makes items much easier to locate when needed and prevents the reaccumulation of scattered duplicates. Working by category rather than location also prevents the frustrating cycle of repeatedly cleaning the same areas without achieving lasting results. When you address an entire category comprehensively, you resolve the underlying issue rather than simply moving clutter from one location to another. This approach requires more initial time investment than quick room cleanups, but the results are far more permanent and satisfying. You're not just rearranging your possessions, you're making conscious decisions about what deserves space in your life and creating systems that prevent future accumulation. The category unification system also provides valuable insights into your spending patterns and consumption habits. When you see how many items you've accumulated in certain categories, you may recognize patterns of impulse buying or emotional shopping that you can address to prevent future clutter. Principle 4. The Joy Resonance Test. At the heart of Japanese organization philosophy lies perhaps its most revolutionary concept, the Joy Resonance Test. This principle fundamentally shifts our relationship with possessions from a utilitarian perspective to an emotional and spiritual one. Instead of asking whether an item might be useful someday, we ask whether it actively contributes to our happiness and well-being in the present moment. This approach recognizes that our homes are not merely functional spaces, but emotional environments that profoundly influence our daily experience. Every object we choose to keep in our personal sanctuary either adds to our life force or diminishes it. There is no neutral ground. Items either spark joy and energy within us, or they create subtle feelings of heaviness, obligation, or drain. The Joy Resonance Test requires us to develop sensitivity to our authentic emotional responses to objects. This involves more than intellectual evaluation. It requires bodily awareness and emotional intelligence. When you hold an item and apply this test, pay attention to subtle physical sensations. Does your body feel lighter or heavier? Do you feel a small surge of energy or a slight deflation? Does the item inspire a spontaneous smile or a sense of satisfaction, or does it feel neutral or slightly burdensome? Initially, this sensitivity may feel unfamiliar, especially if you're accustomed to making decisions based primarily on practical considerations or monetary value. Begin practicing with categories where emotional responses tend to be clearer, such as clothing or books. A piece of clothing that fits well and makes you feel confident will create a noticeably different bodily response than one that's uncomfortable or makes you feel self-conscious, even if both serve the same practical function. As you develop this sensitivity, you'll discover that joy manifests differently for different types of objects. A well-designed kitchen tool might spark joy through its elegance and efficiency. A photograph might create warmth through its emotional associations. A book might inspire excitement about knowledge or adventure. The key is learning to recognize these positive responses and distinguish them from feelings of obligation, guilt, or indifference.
The joy resonance test is not an invitation to materialism or impulsive consumption. Rather, it encourages deep appreciation for the items we already possess and much more conscious decision-making about what we allow into our lives. Many people discover that after applying this test consistently, they end up with significantly fewer possessions but feel much wealthier because every remaining item actively contributes to their happiness. This principle also helps eliminate guilt-based keeping, holding on to items because they were expensive, gifts from others, or might be useful someday. If an expensive item doesn't bring you joy, its monetary value doesn't justify the psychological space it occupies in your home and mind. If a gift doesn't resonate with your current life, keeping it out of obligation serves neither you nor the person who gave it to you. The process of applying the joy resonance test often reveals important insights about your values, interests, and current life phase. Items that once brought great joy might no longer resonate because you've grown and changed. Recognizing this evolution and releasing items that no longer serve you creates space for new experiences and possessions that align with who you're becoming. When you do decide to release items that don't pass the joy resonance test, do so with gratitude rather than guilt or regret. Thank each item for the service it provided during the period when it was meaningful to you. This practice of conscious release eliminates the negative emotions that often accompany decluttering and creates a positive cycle of appreciation and intentional living. The ultimate goal of the joy resonance test is to create a living environment where every visible object actively contributes to your well-being. When your home contains only items that spark joy, the space itself becomes a source of energy and inspiration rather than a collection of obligations and maintenance tasks. This principle extends beyond individual objects to encompass the overall aesthetic and energetic quality of your space. Consider how different combinations of items interact with each other. Sometimes individual items might spark joy, but their arrangement or proximity to other objects creates visual chaos or energetic discord. The joy resonance test can be applied to spatial arrangements as well as individual possessions.
Principle 5. The elegant sufficiency philosophy. The fifth principle of Japanese home organization embodies a contra-culture wisdom in our consumption-driven society, the elegant sufficiency philosophy. This approach recognizes that true abundance comes not from accumulating more, but from deeply appreciating and maximizing the potential of what we already possess. It's a profound shift from the more is better mentality to understanding that enough is plenty when that enough is carefully chosen and deeply valued. In traditional Japanese aesthetics, empty space, known as ma, is not considered a void to be filled, but an essential element that allows the truly important objects to receive proper attention and appreciation. This principle teaches us that visual and mental breathing room is just as valuable as the objects themselves. When we crowd our spaces with excessive possessions, we diminish the impact and appreciation of everything present. The elegant sufficiency philosophy begins with questioning our automatic impulse to acquire and fill space. Before making any new purchase, engage in a thorough evaluation process. Does this item fulfill a genuine need or solve a real problem in my life? Will it enhance my daily experience in a meaningful way? Do I have space for it that doesn't require displacing or cramming other items? Will I genuinely use and appreciate this item regularly, or is it likely to become another possession that requires maintenance and attention without proportional value? This principle also involves cultivating appreciation for quality over quantity. Instead of owning numerous mediocre items that serve a function adequately, choose fewer items of superior quality that serve the same function excellently and bring genuine pleasure to use. For example, rather than owning a drawer full of inexpensive kitchen utensils, invest in a smaller collection of well-designed, durable tools that feel wonderful in your hands and perform their functions beautifully. The practice of elegant sufficiency extends to spatial arrangements within your home. Resist the urge to fill every surface, wall, and corner with objects or decorations. Allow surfaces to breathe with generous empty space.
Choose wall decorations sparingly, giving each piece enough surrounding space to make a visual impact. Arrange furniture to create open pathways and areas of visual rest. This approach creates numerous practical benefits beyond aesthetics. With fewer possessions to maintain, clean, organize, and worry about, you free up significant amounts of time and mental energy for experiences, relationships that provide deeper satisfaction. The reduced visual complexity of your environment allows your mind to rest and focus more easily, reducing the subtle stress that comes from constant visual stimulation. Many people who embrace the elegant sufficiency philosophy report an unexpected sense of freedom and lightness. They describe feeling as if an invisible burden has been lifted from their shoulders. The constant low-level anxiety about managing, maintaining, and organizing excessive possessions disappears, replaced by a calm confidence that comes from living within sustainable boundaries. This principle also transforms your relationship with acquisition. When you deeply appreciate the items you already own, the compulsive desire to acquire new things naturally diminishes. You become much more selective about what you allow into your space, which often leads to better financial decisions and reduced environmental impact. The temporal aspect of elegant sufficiency is equally important. When you own fewer things, you spend less time shopping for new items, maintaining existing possessions, and organizing and reorganizing your space. This free time can be invested in experiences, relationships, skill development, or simply enjoying the peaceful environment you've created. To implement this philosophy effectively, practice gratitude for your existing possessions. Regularly take inventory of what you own and consciously appreciate the service these items provide in your life. This gratitude practice naturally reduces the desire for additional acquisitions and increases satisfaction with your current situation. The elegant sufficiency philosophy also involves learning to recognize the difference between genuine needs and manufactured desires. Much of our acquisition impulse comes from external messages about what we should want or need, rather than authentic internal assessment of what would truly improve our lives. Developing this discernment is a valuable skill that extends far beyond home organization.
Principle 6. The Threshold Ceremony Practice. The sixth principle introduces a transformative approach to the daily transitions between our outer world responsibilities and our inner sanctuary, the threshold ceremony practice. This principle recognizes that much of the chaos and clutter in our homes originates at the critical moment of entry, when we bring not only physical objects, but also the energy, pace, and mental state of our external activities into our personal space. In traditional Japanese culture, the entryway, or genkan, is considered a sacred transitional space where one consciously shifts from the public role to the private self. This isn't merely about removing shoes. It's about creating a mindful pause that allows us to fully arrive in our home rather than simply passing through it while mentally still engaged with outside concerns. The threshold ceremony practice begins with creating intentional systems at your primary entry point. Establish specific, easily accessible homes for the items you regularly carry. A designated hook for each family member's keys, a specific spot for mobile devices, a basket or tray for mail and small items, appropriate storage for coats and bags, and a system for shoes that keeps them organized and out of the main pathway. Beyond these practical arrangements, develop a personal ritual of transition that helps you mentally and emotionally shift into home mode. This might involve taking 3 deep breaths as you close the door behind you, spending a moment appreciating your space before moving deeper into your home, or engaging in a brief gratitude practice for having a safe, comfortable place to return to each day. The conscious pause is crucial to preventing the automatic scatter pattern that typically occurs when we enter our homes while mentally preoccupied. When we rush through the entryway without present moment awareness, we tend to drop items wherever convenient in the moment, creating accumulation points that gradually expand throughout our living space. Instead, use the first few moments after entering to consciously place each item in its designated location. This small investment of time and attention prevents hours of cleanup later and maintains the peaceful environment you've worked to create.
The key is making this process automatic through consistent practice, rather than relying on willpower or memory in moments when you're tired or stressed. The exit ceremony is equally important for maintaining order and creating positive momentum for your day. Before leaving your home, take a brief moment to scan your primary living areas and address any obvious disorder. This might involve placing a few items back in their designated spots, loading dishes into the dishwasher, or straightening cushions and throws. This small morning investment ensures you return to a welcoming environment rather than yesterday's accumulation of clutter. Many people find that this morning tidying ritual creates a positive psychological effect that extends throughout their day. Beginning the day by caring for your environment sets an intention of mindfulness and responsibility that influences how you approach other activities and interactions. The threshold ceremony practice also creates natural boundaries between different aspects of your life. The conscious transition helps you fully disengage from work concerns when entering your personal space and fully prepare for external responsibilities when leaving. This boundary setting contributes to better work-life balance and more complete rest and restoration during home time. To enhance the effectiveness of this practice, consider the sensory aspects of your entryway. Ensure adequate lighting so you can see clearly to place items properly. Consider adding elements that appeal to your senses and create positive associations with coming home. Perhaps a small plant, pleasant scents, or meaningful artwork visible from the entrance. The practice also extends to other family members and guests. When everyone understands and participates in the entry and exit rituals, the entire household benefits from reduced clutter and increased mindfulness about the transition between outer and inner world. Children often respond well to clear, consistent routines around these transitions, and the practices become automatic habits that serve them throughout their lives. For those living in smaller spaces without dedicated entryways, the principle can be adapted by creating a designated transitional area near your main entrance and developing abbreviated versions of the entry and exit ceremonies that fit your space and lifestyle.
Principle 7. The Gratitude Connection Practice. The seventh and most profound principle of Japanese home organization transcends physical arrangements and addresses the fundamental relationship between human consciousness and material objects, the gratitude connection practice. This principle recognizes that our possessions are not merely inanimate tools, but partners in our daily life experience, deserving of respect, appreciation, and conscious interaction. While Western culture often treats objects as disposable commodities, the Japanese tradition acknowledges that every item in our home represents a complex web of natural resources, human labor, creativity, and service. A simple wooden spoon embodies trees that grew for decades, the craftsmanship of its maker, the transportation systems that brought it to you, and its daily service in preparing nourishment for your family. This awareness transforms our relationship with possessions from casual use to respectful partnership. The gratitude connection practice begins with developing conscious awareness of how you interact with everyday objects. Instead of automatically reaching for items and using them without thought, take moments throughout your day to acknowledge the service they provide. Mentally thank your coffee mug for holding your morning beverage, appreciate your chair for supporting you during work, acknowledge your clothing for protecting and presenting you to the world. This practice may initially feel unusual or forced, especially in a culture that emphasizes efficiency and productivity over mindful interaction. However, as you develop this awareness, you'll notice profound shifts in how you care for and value your possessions. Items that receive conscious appreciation tend to be treated with greater care, stored more properly, and maintained more consistently. The practice naturally leads to better stewardship of your possessions. When you appreciate the service an item provides, you're more likely to clean it properly after use, store it in appropriate conditions, and repair minor damage before it becomes major deterioration. This increased care extends the functional life of your possessions, reducing replacement costs and environmental impact. Perhaps more importantly, the gratitude connection practice helps you recognize when it's appropriate to release items from your life.
When an object has completed its service to you, when you've outgrown its usefulness or it no longer brings value to your daily experience, you can consciously thank it for its contribution and release it with appreciation rather than guilt or regret. This conscious release process eliminates much of the emotional difficulty that often accompanies decluttering. Instead of feeling guilty about discarding items or wasteful about releasing things you spent money on, you can appreciate the service they provided during their time in your life and feel good about passing them on to someone who will benefit from their continued use. The practice also connects you to the broader web of interdependence that makes modern life possible. Every object in your home represents countless people whose work contributed to its creation and delivery to you. The designers who conceived it, the workers who manufactured it, the transporters who delivered it, the retailers who made it available, all played roles in bringing this item into your life. This awareness expands your sense of connection to the human community and can increase feelings of gratitude and abundance. Implementing the gratitude connection practice effectively requires developing what I call material mindfulness, the ability to engage consciously with objects rather than interacting with them automatically. Begin by choosing one category of items, perhaps your eating utensils or favorite clothing pieces, and practice conscious appreciation each time you use them. As this awareness develops, extend it to other categories of possessions. Notice how different types of items serve different aspects of your life experience. Your books provide knowledge and entertainment, your kitchen tools enable nourishment and creativity, your furniture creates comfort and functionality, your personal care items support health and self-expression. Each category deserves recognition for its unique contribution to your daily life. The practice also extends to the spatial relationships between objects. Consider how different items work together to create functional and beautiful environments. Appreciate not just individual objects, but the harmony created when items are thoughtfully arranged and properly maintained. Many people find that the gratitude connection practice naturally reduces acquisition impulses. When you deeply appreciate what you already own, the compulsive desire for new possessions often diminishes. You become more selective about what you invite into your space, choosing items that will truly enhance your life rather than simply filling perceived voids or responding to marketing messages. The ultimate goal of this practice is to create a living environment where every object is consciously chosen, properly cared for, and genuinely appreciated. This creates a positive feedback loop where your home truly supports your well-being and your conscious stewardship maintains its beauty and functionality with minimal effort.
Integration and implementation, creating your personal system. Now that you understand all 7 principles of Japanese home organization, the key to transformation lies in thoughtful, gradual implementation. These principles work synergistically. Each one reinforces and amplifies the others to create a comprehensive system that maintains itself with minimal ongoing effort. Begin your transformation by selecting the principle that resonates most strongly with your current situation. If you're overwhelmed by daily clutter accumulation, start with the 5-minute mastery method. If you feel like you can never find anything, begin with the Sacred Space Doctrine. If you're emotionally drained by your possessions, explore the joy resonance test first. Implement one principle thoroughly before adding others. Spend 2 to 3 weeks developing consistency with your chosen starting point. During this period, pay attention to how this single change affects other aspects of your home organization and daily experience. You'll likely notice that mastering one principle naturally supports the others. As you add subsequent principles, maintain the practices you've already established. The goal is to create layered habits that become increasingly automatic over time. Eventually, these practices will feel as natural as other daily routines, like brushing your teeth or preparing meals. Remember that this is not a quick fix, but a fundamental shift in how you relate to your physical environment. The most profound transformations occur gradually, as these new approaches to your possessions and space become integrated into your identity and worldview. Be patient with yourself during the transition period. There will be days when old habits reassert themselves, or when life circumstances make it challenging to maintain your new practices. This is normal and expected. The key is to return to your intentional practices as soon as possible without judgment or discouragement. Consider documenting your progress through photos or journaling. Many people find it motivating to see the visual transformation of their spaces over time. More importantly, notice and record the changes in how you feel in your home and how the organization affects other areas of your life. The Japanese method of home organization offers more than just tidy spaces. It provides a pathway to greater mindfulness, intentionality, and satisfaction in daily life. When your external environment reflects order, consciousness, and appreciation, these qualities naturally extend to other aspects of your experience. Which of these 7 principles speaks most powerfully to your current situation? I encourage you to choose one and begin implementing it today. Remember to subscribe to this channel for more transformational content and share this video with anyone who might benefit from creating more harmony in their living space. Your journey to permanent home organization begins with a single conscious choice. Make that choice now and begin experiencing the profound peace that comes from living in true harmony with your environment. The path to transformation is waiting for you. Take the first step today and discover how these ancient principles can revolutionize not just your home, but your entire approach to living consciously and joyfully.